A special hour of Utah's morning news. Your voice, your vote. The Republican race for the White House.
And a very good morning to you, Brian Martin and Amanda Dickson. We are subbing in for Doug Wright this morning, who's flying back from Cleveland for a very special hour of Your Voice, Your Vote, the Republican race for the White House, as we continue to look back at the RNC all week, and more specifically, Amanda, Donald Trump's acceptance speech last night.
So, Jay, were you moved by his acceptance speech?
That's a loaded question. No, I was not moved by his speech.
What was your takeaway from what he was doing?
Well, look, I felt like the message was a downer, really, in a lot of ways. And Donald Trump has this issue where off-prompter, he's amazing. In fact, he spoke this morning, and he never finishes a sentence or a thought, but you don't care. You just watch and listen. But the problem is he can get himself into hot water, right? On prompter, I thought this was his best on prompter performance ever, but I didn't feel inspired. I didn't feel moved. I didn't feel anything. But where's the Donald that people love? And that's the issue, is his people want him on prompter so that they don't have to clean up the messes that he leaves everywhere. But on prompter, he's just especially compared to Ivanka Trump, who had just introduced him, she gave an incredible
She was
address.
polished, wasn't she?
And the topic was inspiring for many people, too.
Yes. And so I felt, in fact, anytime his kids spoke, I felt inspired.
Mm-hmm.
When Mike Pence spoke, I felt inspired. When Donald Trump spoke, I felt like it just felt uncomfortable. Like you just knew this is not what Donald wanted to do. This is what his people wanted him to do. So he came out and he delivered it. But this morning, guess what? While you guys were on the air, he comes up, he does an impromptu speech to thank his people. What does he do? He praises the National Enquirer, says they should get a Pulitzer, brings up the Ted Cruz. His dad may have been involved in the Lee Harvey Oswald scandal. Today, the day after the acceptance speech, he's going after Ted Cruz for about
I heard him
half
say,
an hour.
I don't want your endorsement.
Yeah.
I can live without it. Your career is over.
But in the meantime, I'm going to keep talking about Ted Cruz.
But I do think that the real, you have to ask, what was the goal of the speech, and did he accomplish the goal? Goal number one, unify the party around Donald Trump.
Did it do that?
I think it helped. I really do think it helped. I think the 4 days, and I think the children more than anybody, helped unify the party. In fact, you saw some of the Utah delegation finally applauding at certain points, right? I think some people realize he can be reasonable, right? Then the next goal is what? To get people who are not considering voting for him to come in. Did he do that?
See,
Yes,
and that was
I
the
think
question that I
Yeah.
kind of went into this speech with, thinking, okay, I'm a Republican. I've been on the fence ever since Donald Trump, kind of became the one guy.
Yeah.
And maybe, a lot of Utahns around here just didn't really like him very much, or like the way his demeanor, as we were talking with James Evans a minute ago. And just kind of going into the speech going, all right, I got to give him a chance. I really want to like this guy so that I can support the Republican Party. And I don't know if there was that connecting moment in that speech last night. And that's just maybe my take, that perhaps drew in that Republican who was like, I'm trying here. I really want to like you. Did you hear anything that would have taken somebody over the top and brought them in?
Maybe some Republicans. The question is that, the biggest voting bloc is independent voters, and they're the ones you have to appeal to.
Right.
Here's the problem for me, is if he did do that last night, he undid all of it today. Because the Donald Trump of last night, if he's the one that appeals to you, he is not the guy you will see through the rest of the campaign. So if suddenly last night, and a lot of the snap polling from CNN and Fox said that 2/3 of the people who were watching said they might consider it when they hadn't in the past, so he was effective. The problem is that was not Donald Trump last night. There was nothing about that.
So,
that was Donald Trump last
They
night.
compared his speech to Nixon's, because it didn't have the positive inspiration of Reagan or Bush 41 or Bush 43. Is that a fair comparison?
I think so. I felt down. I just felt like it's just a beat down.
Is it fair for him to say, I'm the only one who can fix it?
Well, fair. I mean, he's Donald Trump. He's done things that everybody else has said he can't do, and he has done that. And when his kids say that, you kind of have to go, well, yeah, that's kind of true. Everyone sold him out early on in this campaign. In fact, most political pundits, what do they say now? There's a phrase I hear every day. I've stopped trying to predict this campaign and Donald Trump, right? They say we can't do it. So who knows if Donald Trump can get in there and deliver on this? He's delivered on other things that we all said, no, there's no way. You can't do that.
And looking forward, as you're talking about delivering, I mean, he's now going to be going up against Hillary Clinton on the debate stage.
Yes.
Possibly along with Gary Johnson, as you were saying
I
in your
hope
show.
so.
Yesterday.
I hope we
too.
see Gary Johnson.
I think it would make it so much more issue-oriented.
Donald Trump is a guy who took down 16 very crafted and skilled politicians. What do you think we can expect as he gets on the stage with Hillary?
Fireworks.
Yeah.
Fireworks, because Hillary is somebody who's not afraid of rolling around in the mud.
No.
And either is Donald Trump. I do believe when you watch Hillary Clinton's speech this next week, it will be a speech that it will be more like, we all remembered Ronald Reagan, the shining city on a hill. This is what she's decided. She's going to try and be that inspiration as to what we can be, and it will provide a stark contrast to Donald Trump. But again, my question is, which Donald Trump do you support? Donald Trump of last night or Donald Trump of this morning? They are two completely different people. One scares people to death, and the other one they thought, hey, kind of reasonable, you know?
So the Donald Trump we saw last night was the Paul Manafort Donald Trump.
Yes.
And for people who, you and I and Brian, we're news junkies.
Yes.
So we watch everything.
Yeah.
Most people dip in for 5 minutes. So if they dipped in for 5 minutes and they saw that Donald Trump, it may have calmed their nerves somewhat.
Yes, and then if they caught 3 minutes of Donald Trump this morning praising the National Enquirer and saying they should get a Pulitzer, you have to. This is the tale of two Donalds. Like I said, I love Donald off prompter. It is the most compelling thing to watch. Even though I don't agree with a lot of his character issues, I agree with some of his politics.
What about his bringing up the killing of the young college student by a man who was here illegally from South America?
I think that in that particular instance, he at least talked about a single incident. He avoided the speechwriters,
but the bringing it up at all,
the broad brush. I didn't like it.
Yeah,
I didn't like it.
What about you, Brian?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting to see exactly how the whole immigration thing plays out. What importance the wall takes. Build the wall as we go forward, as far as the debates between him and Hillary again.
And the reason I didn't like it is because it's very easy, and we accuse politicians of doing this, finding the one person that represents your cause, right? But that person is the most extreme case possible. Meanwhile, you have the vast majority of illegal immigrants who are here working. They're not murdering people. Yeah. They're not killing people. Yes, they broke the law in coming here, but that's the guy that you're going to paint as
all
the
of this
picture.
aside, Star Trek opens this weekend, so who cares about
I'm so there.
I'm there too.